All right, we're gonna try this again. Set up my camera, had it all ready to go for this week's video, and the battery was dead. So I had to take it off the tripod, change out the battery. Basically, we put it on the tripod after I put a new battery on it. It's just my awesome way of doing things. I'm just great at making videos. I just keep getting better. This week's video is a little bit just talking about my past experiences and just stuff that I remember doing in my past. I was born in 79, so carry the one. I am 40 years old, 41, 40 years old. Dang it. For a minute I thought it was 2021. That's how long that this lockdown and coronavirus thing has been going on for. I don't even know what year it is anymore, but no, I am 40 years old. So I was born in 79, but I was pretty much raised in the 80s. So I wanted to go over 80s stuff. All these stuff that I remember growing up in the 80s. And I don't know your background. My background, I was raised, I'm not going to go into my whole background telling you about everything. Maybe at another video I will. I was raised in a Christian family. Did a lot of church things, a lot of going to like church gatherings and church outings, and I was part of like church youth groups and church drama teams and church what is it, kind of like the Boy Scouts, kind of, I forget what we were called, but I remember doing all that stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff in that culture, but I also remember something from my childhood that I wanted to bring up because I don't know if anybody's remembers this from like that time. The power team. Does anybody remember the power team that was in that culture? And you don't even really need to be in that Christian culture to remember that, I don't think, because they were like what the heck were they? They were Christian based, but they were a weightlifting or like power lifters or whatever that would go around and talk about Jesus, which and their testimonies or something. I forget exactly all the stuff that was. It was a while ago, but I googled it. Let me Google it again real quick on my phone. Power team. First thing that comes up on Google, at least for me, is Power Team Merrill Financial Advisor. It's been a while since the Power Team's been out, so the first thing. Well, that's an ad apparently. But then the Wikipedia page comes up, which Wikipedia half the time is not like the most reliable source. But let's see what Wikipedia says about it. Power Team is a group of Christian evangelicists that based in Dallas, Texas, who incorporate their preaching with displays of strength and martial arts skills. They were founded in the late 70s by John Jacobs. And their stuff is taped at like mega churches and stuff. But as growing up, like I said, born in 79, growing up in the 80s, I remember the Power Team. They used to wear, it's funny looking back at the 80s and the 90s and stuff. And they used to wear this jumpsuit or something. They wore like the muscle shirts, whatever you want to call them, those tank top, whatever. They wore that, but underneath it, they wore these jackets and everything with these cool stripes and everything. And they would break like a ridiculous amount of like bricks or boards or ice or boards on fire or ice on fire. I don't know how they got the ice on fire, or even if they did get the ice on fire. There was fire involved at some point. They would rip license plates. They also ripped a phone book in half, which was amazing. And this, for those of you who don't know what phone books are, because it's 2020, we don't really have those anymore. That's how you figured out that's how you figured out people's phone numbers. You just go on a phone book and look them up, because we didn't have these fancy things right here where you could just figure all that stuff up on your phone right away. So phone books, that's how you figured out a contact somebody. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able, as a kid growing up in the 80s, I wanted to be able, I saw them do that and I was amazed, because the phone book was huge. It's like that big, like that thick. I wanted to be able to rip a phone book in half. And I have some good news for you. It is 2020, and I just got the new updated version of our phone books that we have, and I want to say I can now rip a phone book in half. Let me go get it for you. All right. The phone book was sent and delivered to my house by the United States Postal Service, and I think I can finally rip it in half like those awesome Power Team guys. Or my kids told me that there was a trend on social media of people ripping phone books in half, which I didn't know that was. I mean, these guys used to do it before it was cool, so that's my go-to people. I want to show you what I'm working with. I'm going to do this right so you in the viewing audience can watch how powerful I am. Check out this phone book. It's a Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages. Let's see if you can focus it. Let's get it close to my face. The Yellow Pages for South Florida. The real Yellow Pages. The original search engine, which they don't have any. It's actually the Yellow Pages and the White Pages combined, if you can see that. The Yellow Pages and the White Pages combined, which that probably makes me more powerful than the Power Team. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to rip this in half in front of your very eyes. Let's see. There's a technique to doing this. If I can't rip this little tiny version of a phone book in half, I'm going to be really mad at myself, because you're supposed to like bend it. Let me see. You're supposed to bend it. My dogs are looking at me all crazy. What? Come on, son. What do you have for me next? I can do anything. Okay, let me show you what it looks like. That, my friend, well, technically it isn't ripped completely in half. It's like, what is that? Like, is that Idaho? What state? What state does that look like? Anyway, dang it. So I technically, what do they put in the backbone of this stuff? This stuff is even harder to, how can I not get through this part of it? The hardest part is actually getting through this might be the longest video I make if I can't finally. Yes, I ripped a phone book in half. I am technically, if you add in that I technically ripped not only the Yellow Pages but also the White Pages, I technically ripped 2 phone books in half. Come at me, bro. And give me a second, because now I have to throw this away, because my dog apparently likes to eat paper, so if I leave this right here, she will start eating it and digest a lot of it. I don't know. So that reminds me of all the 80s. The 80s were crazy. Like, I mean, that was like a big thing when I was growing up. I liked the feats of strength, and I really thought those people were like superhuman or something. But then I realized that you can there's certain tricks and ways that made it that you could actually do that with not too much effort. But it was cool. Like, it was cool, and it's still cool to this day to see that kind of stuff. The only thing I regret, I think, from my time growing up was probably like the decisions I made in wardrobes. I wore Jenko jeans, and anybody out there, and like my friends, if you're watching this video and you remember me from that time, you remember how ridiculous Jenko jeans are. I think I googled it. I think there's still some places where you can buy them. You could fit a home PC in your back pocket at one time. It is ridiculous. You could fit, like, the pockets were huge, the pants themselves were huge, the waists were regular. It just kind of ballooned out from there. They made them in corduroy. What is corduroy? Corduroy? I don't even know how to say that word. But they made it in all different, like, jean material and all that stuff. But that was my jam, man. That and like striped shirts and stuff, and then brightly colored stuff when I was younger. Like, I'm actually gonna Google this stuff up. Let's look up, like, not like what is it? 80s fashion. 80s fashion. Okay, right there. 80s fashion, man. Let's look at the images we got in here. Like, if that doesn't show you, like, look at those. Let me see if I can get my camera to focus right there. Boom, right there. Oh, my glare. Look at that fashion. There was a lot of color going on. That's the first Google image that I got. There was I remember wearing stuff just like that with all that color. There was this ridiculous amounts of color going on, and they had the pants. I can't remember what they were called, like in the NFL colors of like what you would like your favorite team, and the pants were like that zebra print, but in the colors of your team. I don't know if that was the 80s or the 90s. I don't even remember what the heck were the 90s fashion. Let's Google that nonsense and see what the heck was going on there. And as I do these videos, I do all my videos for the most part, unless I write up an actual skit, all this stuff is just off the top of my head and me just thinking randomly. So if my videos are all over the place, laugh with me, because that's the way my videos are. Like, unless I try to think of a skit or something weird like that. But this is all 80s or no 90s. Wow. So the colors went... I don't know. I don't remember the 90s as much. Like, did we really go from like so much colors? This is one of the first one of the first pictures of like 90s fashion. If you can look at that, let's zoom. Let's get some focus in on that. That was apparently 90s fashion trends. But like it's funny how different things change. My dad did tell me though I was gonna regret like buying those Jenko jeans, and I pretty much did. I look back at that and I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever did. But I'm still glad I actually ripped that phone book in half. Just a blast from the past, just remembering that stuff. And apparently it's circled back around, and now it's a trend somewhere where like we're ripping like phone books in half. But if they're the size that that they're sending in the mail right now, that's not quite as impressive. Like, that's not even... I've seen magazines that are thicker than that. So, like, we need to step up our game. The power team had it locked down, man. For my next trick, I will break this chair that I'm sitting on in half. No, I'm just kidding. My wife would kill me. This is like the coolest chair we have in the house. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing good out there. This is... I really don't know what day... on the day of like lockdown this is technically. I know it's been a few months now. We're still down here in South Florida. We still got restrictions, still got to wear masks and all that fun stuff. I don't think that's everywhere, but that's where we are right now. Hopefully everything starts to go back to normal like sooner rather than later, because I'm ready for that. Ready to go back and just hang out with friends, go back and meet up with my church buddies, just have a good time. Hopefully everybody out there is doing awesome. Hope your week went great. Hope your next week goes great. Hopefully it's nothing but ups from here on out. That's basically all I got for this week. Next week, I have some other stuff planned out that I'm actually going to record, some other ideas that I want to do. I want to do some more. I'm not going to be doing family game night as much because my family is now, part of my family is actually visiting their grandparents, so that's cool for them. They get to go have fun over that way. But I have some other things I'm going to do. But we'll talk to you at a later date. Hopefully everybody's, like I said before, hopefully everybody's day is going awesome. And I wish you nothing but the best. I will talk to you next week.